Look at that cheerful yellow spark. It's everywhere. From the rural heartlands to the urban sprawl, the blue vest has become the unofficial uniform of the American working class. Save money, live better. It's more than just a slogan. It's the ultimate populist promise. Walmart positions itself as the backbone of Middle America, a legacy of Sam Walton's supposedly humble beginnings that puts the customer first. It's pure main character energy in the retail world. But let's be real. Logos are just expensive masks designed to hide the ugly truth. Behind that friendly facade lies a cold, calculated machine that has perfected the art of corporate parasitism. While the rest of the world was bleeding out in 2020, the Walton family's wealth grew by over $100 million every single day. That's not just a win, that's a total ratio. They aren't helping you live better, they are just gaslighting you into thinking their exploitation is actually a favor. It's time to stop falling for the PR stunts and see the system for what it is. Let's look past the branding and find the untold story of Walmart. Let's talk about the myth of the neighborly giant. You have seen the commercials. Soft lighting, acoustic guitars, and a friendly store manager talking about how much they love their community. It's a vibe, right? But in the world of corporate strategy, Walmart doesn't do vibes. They do colonization. When Walmart decides to move into a rural town or a small suburban enclave, they aren't looking to join the neighborhood. They are looking to own it. It's the ultimate main character energy move. They enter a market with one goal, and that is to be the last one standing. This is what economists call the Walmart effect, but let's call it what it really is. It's a scorched earth policy disguised as a discount. Think about your local mom-and-pop hardware store or the family-owned grocer that's been on Main Street for 30 years. They are the NPCs in Walmart's expansion pack. Walmart arrives with the strategy called predatory pricing. They use their massive scale to sell goods at prices that are mathematically impossible for a local business to match. Sometimes, they even sell items at a loss just to pull people through the doors. This is a macro-scale loss leader strategy. They can afford to lose money on a gallon of milk in one town because they are making billions elsewhere. But that local grocer, they can't. For them, it's a skill issue they can't solve because the game is rigged from the start. Eventually, the local shops can't pay the rent, the hardware store closes, the pharmacy shuts down. The downtown area that used to be the heart of the community becomes a ghost town of empty storefronts and broken dreams. And once the competition is buried and the local ecosystem is dead, Walmart becomes the only game in town. They are now the only place to buy your food, the only place to get your tires changed, and most importantly, the only place to find a job. You went from being a proud business owner or a customer with choices to being a blue-vested associate or a captive consumer. That is not a win. That is a common Walmart L for the American dream. The company loves to brag about how many jobs they create. It's their favorite shield against criticism. They will put out press releases saying they are bringing 1,000 jobs to a new region. But if you look at the actual data, the math doesn't add up. For every single job Walmart creates, an estimated 1.4 local retail jobs are destroyed. It's a net loss for the community. They aren't building a workforce. They are harvesting one. They take stable, middle-class retail roles and replace them with part-time, low-wage positions with zero security. And since they have successfully killed every other employer in the area, you have no choice but to take whatever crumbs they throw your way. The money doesn't stay in your town either. In a local business, the profits go back into the community. The owner buys a car from the local dealer, sponsors a little league team, and pays taxes that fund your schools. But when you spend $1 at Walmart, that profit is on a one-way flight to Bentonville, Arkansas. It's a wealth vacuum. They are literally sucking the lifeblood out of small towns to fuel the Walton family's private jet fleet. They claim to be the backbone of the retail industry, but they are more like a parasite that has grown so large it has forgotten it needs a living host to survive. They don't build communities, they harvest them until there's nothing left but a giant blue box and a parking lot full of people who have nowhere else to go. It's a textbook case of corporate gaslighting. They tell you that you are saving money, and technically, on that specific receipt, you might be. But what's the real cost? You're saving 50 cents on a box of cereal, but losing the economic sovereignty of your entire town. You're trading the long-term health of your neighborhood for the short-term convenience of a rollback price. And the worst part is, they have made us feel like we have no other choice. That is the true power of the Walmart machine. they don't just dominate the market. They colonize our expectations until we can't even imagine a world without them. Let's dive into the most sophisticated scam in the history of American capitalism. It's not a Ponzi scheme or a crypto rug pull, it's much more elegant and completely legal. It is the ultimate corporate gaslighting. You see, Walmart has a very specific business model that relies on a silent partner who never gets a seat on the board but pays a huge chunk of the bills. That partner is you, the American taxpayer. The strategy is simple. Walmart keeps wages so low that a massive portion of their full-time staff cannot actually afford to live. We're talking about people who work 40 hours a week under those bright fluorescent lights but still can't put food on their own tables. This is where the magic happens. Because these workers are paid poverty wages, they qualify for government assistance programs like the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, which most people know as food stamps. They also qualify for Medicaid. According to a Government Accountability Office report, Walmart is consistently one of the top employers of people who rely on these public safety nets. Think about that for a second. Effectively, the United States government and your tax dollars are subsidizing Walmart's labor costs. If Walmart paid a living wage, those workers wouldn't need government help. But by keeping wages at rock bottom, Walmart offloads the cost of keeping their employees alive onto the public. It is a massive transfer of wealth from the bottom up. You are literally paying the difference so the Walton family can maintain their status as some of the richest people on the planet. It's peak main character energy to think you can run a multi-billion-dollar empire while expecting the neighbors to pay your staff's grocery bills. This is not a bug in their system, it is a feature. It is a calculated move to maximize profit margins by externalizing the most basic cost of doing business, which is human labor. And don't get it twisted, this isn't just a minor administrative oversight. This is billions of dollars every single year. We are talking about $6.2 billion in annual taxpayer subsidies for Walmart workers, according to some estimates. That's money that could be going to schools or infrastructure or literally anything else. Instead, it's a hidden gift to a corporation that already brings in over $500 billion in annual revenue. It's like Walmart is playing the game of capitalism on easy mode while the rest of us are paying for their DLC. It's a total ratioed situation where the public takes all the risk and the Waltons take all the reward. Now, some of you might be thinking, but wait, didn't they raise their minimum wage to $15 an hour? Didn't the PR team blast that all over the news? Yeah, they did, and that was a classic corporate L disguised as a win for the workers. When you see a giant corporation make a grand gesture like that, you have to read the fine print. Walmart is the master of giving with one hand and taking with two. When they raised the base pay, they didn't just eat that cost out of their profits. That would be too ethical. Instead, they cut hours. They took workers who were doing 35 hours a week and bumped them down to 28. So your hourly rate looks better on paper, but your take-home pay is exactly the same or even less. But wait, there's more. They also use the wage hike as an excuse to eliminate quarterly bonuses and certain healthcare perks. It was a complete shell game. They rebranded the same old exploitation with a shinier number to stop the bad press. It's pure gaslighting. They want you to thank them for the crumbs while they steal the loaf. And let's not forget the role of automation. Have you noticed those self-checkout lanes taking over the stores? That's not for your convenience. That's so they can fire the cashiers they just promised to pay more. They are replacing humans with machines as fast as possible because robots don't need healthcare and they don't apply for food stamps. The internal culture at Walmart is designed to keep you in this loop. They call their employees associates to make them feel like they are part of a team, but in reality, they are just metrics on a spreadsheet. There have been numerous reports of managers actually helping employees fill out their welfare applications during orientation. Orientation, can you imagine the audacity? Welcome to the team, here's your vest, and here is the form for the government food assistance you're going to need because we refuse to pay you enough to survive. That is the true face of the Spark logo. It's a system that treats poverty not as a social ill to be solved, but as a resource to be exploited. This is why they fight unions so aggressively. If workers organized, they might actually demand a fair share of those $500 billion. But Walmart has a hair-trigger response to any hint of unionization. They have been known to fly in specialized union-busting teams at the first sign of trouble. They would rather close an entire store and fire everyone than let a union get a foothold. It's a skill issue on a corporate level. They are so terrified of losing control over their cheap labor supply that they will burn the whole building down just to prove a point. So the next time you see that always low prices sign, remember who is actually paying for it. It's not just the underpaid worker in the blue vest, it's you. Every time you file your taxes, a portion of that money is going directly into the pockets of the Walton family via the welfare checks of their own employees. Walmart has hacked the American dream. They have turned the social safety net into a corporate subsidy. They aren't your neighbor, they aren't your friend. They are a predator that has figured out how to make the prey pay for the privilege of being hunted. To keep that always low prices mask from slipping, Walmart has to find someone else to bleed. If it is not the American taxpayer, it is a factory worker 10,000 miles away. This is the global race to the bottom. You see, the low prices you see on the shelves aren't the result of some magical efficiency or superior innovation. They are the result of a brutal, high-stakes shakedown of the entire global manufacturing sector. In this game, Walmart is the ultimate final boss, and everyone else is just trying to survive the level. It is a textbook example of monopsony power, where one massive buyer dictates the terms of existence for thousands of sellers. If you are a supplier, Walmart isn't just a client, they are your oxygen, and they know exactly when to cut off the supply. Let's look at the mechanism of this grind. When a company manages to get their product onto Walmart shelves, they think they have won the lottery. They think they have made it, but that is the first step in a very long and painful gaslighting process. Walmart uses a strategy called year-over-year price cuts. They sit their suppliers down and demand that the price of the product drop by 5% or 10% every single year. They don't care if the cost of raw materials went up. They don't care if shipping costs doubled. They don't care if your workers need a raise. Their only metric is the rollback. If you can't meet their price point, you are replaced by someone who can. It is the ultimate corporate ratio. You are either with the program or you are deleted from the ecosystem. This creates a terrifying incentive structure. For a supplier to survive the Walmart squeeze, they have to find ways to cut costs that defy the laws of economics. And where do those cuts come from? They come from the people at the very end of the line. This is why we see production moving from the United States to Mexico, then to China, then to Vietnam, and now to places like Bangladesh and Ethiopia. Walmart forces a global migration of labor toward wherever the laws are the weakest and the bodies are the cheapest. They are the primary architects of a system where human rights are treated as just another overhead cost that needs to be eliminated. It is a total skill issue on a global scale, where the only skill that matters is how much suffering you can ignore to save a nickel on a t-shirt. Remember the Rana Plaza disaster in Bangladesh in 2013? Over 1,000 workers died when a garment factory collapsed. It was a tragedy that the world couldn't ignore, and guess whose labels were found in the rubble? Walmart was one of the major brands tied to the factories in that building. For years, they had ignored warnings about safety because their primary focus was the price point. When the building fell, their initial response was a masterclass in corporate dodging. They tried to claim they didn't know their subcontractors were using that facility. It is the classic main character energy move, where you take all the credit for the low prices, but none of the responsibility for the blood on the floor. They use a complex web of third-party auditors and subcontractors specifically so they can maintain plausible deniability while the exploitation continues unabated. But it's not just about the labor. Let's talk about the environmental gaslighting. Walmart has spent millions of dollars on a massive PR campaign to convince you they are going green. They have these shiny reports about sustainability and renewable energy and reducing their carbon footprint. It is a vibe they are desperate to sell to Gen Z and millennials who actually care about the planet. But if you look past the green branding, the reality is a nightmare. Walmart's entire business model is built on a disposable economy. They sell low-quality goods that are designed to break or be replaced within a year. This creates a mountain of plastic waste that is literally visible from space. They are the kings of the throwaway culture. And then there is the logistics. We are talking about thousands of massive container ships burning the dirtiest bunker fuel imaginable to move cheap plastic from overseas to your local store. The carbon footprint of their global supply chain is larger than that of some entire countries. But they won't tell you that in the commercial with the smiling sun and the recycled cardboard. They want you to focus on the solar panels on the roof of a store in California while ignoring the environmental devastation they are exporting to the global south. It is a common Walmart L disguised as a green revolution. They also squeeze the planet through their packaging. To save money on shipping, they demand that suppliers use specific types of plastic and cardboard that are often the least recyclable options available. Everything is about the bottom line of the current quarter. There is no long-term thinking in the Walmart machine, only the immediate need to beat last year's numbers. They are consuming the future to pay for the present. They treat the Earth's resources the same way they treat their workers, as something to be extracted, exhausted, and discarded once the profit has been squeezed out. The most cynical part of this entire operation is how they use their scale to silence critics. When environmental groups or human rights organizations try to call them out, Walmart uses their massive legal and PR teams to bury the story. They fund think tanks and lobbyists to ensure that regulations remain weak. They are not just participating in the global race to the bottom, they are the ones setting the pace. They have created a world where it is almost impossible for a small, ethical brand to compete because they can't match the subsidized exploitation of the Walmart machine. It's a rigged game, and the house always wins, and the house is shaped like a giant blue box. So when you walk down those aisles and see a t-shirt for $5, you need to understand the math. That $5 price tag is only possible because someone, somewhere, is being denied a fair wage, a safe workplace, and a clean environment. The cost hasn't disappeared, it has just been externalized. It has been pushed onto the shoulders of people who have no voice and no power. Walmart isn't a miracle of the free market. It is a monument to the power of pure, unadulterated greed. They have perfected the art of selling us our own destruction, one rollback at a time. Stay sharp because the shiny yellow spark is the only light they want you to see while they leave the rest of the world in the dark. So here we are at the end of the aisle. We have peeled back the blue paint and looked behind the yellow spark, and what we found is not a miracle of the free market. It is a titan of efficiency, yes, but it is an efficiency built on a crumbling foundation of social inequality. Walmart is the ultimate case study in what happens when a corporation grows so large that it stops being a participant in the economy and starts being the economy itself. They are too big to fail, but they are far too predatory to be respected. They have spent decades perfecting a system that privatizes the profits and socializes the losses, and they have done it all while smiling at you and telling you that they are your friend. It is the most successful long con in American history. The final verdict on Walmart is that they are not a retailer. They are a system for the externalization of costs. Every time they save you $1, they are charging that dollar to someone else. They charge it to the taxpayer through subsidized wages. They charge it to the small-town business owner whose life work was buried under a mountain of cheap plastic. They charge it to the factory worker in a developing nation who risks their life in a building that doesn't meet safety codes. And ultimately, they charge it to you, the consumer, by destroying the economic diversity and resilience of the world you live in. You are not just a customer to them, you are a data point to be harvested and a wallet to be emptied. The main character energy they project is a distraction from the fact that they are actually the villain in everyone else's story. In this age of Amazon and digital dominance, Walmart is desperately trying to pivot to tech. They want you to think of them as a modern, forward-thinking innovator with their Walmart Plus subscriptions and their drone delivery pilots. But do not be gaslit by the PR team. The soul of this company remains a 1980s predatory monopolist. They are just trying to put a high-tech skin on the same old beast. They want to be the landlord of both the physical and the digital world. They are not looking to compete in the marketplace, they are looking to be the marketplace. They want to be the ones who decide which products get seen, which suppliers survive, and how much a human being's time is worth. It is a level of power that no single family should ever hold, and yet, the Walton family continues to see their wealth grow at a rate that is mathematically offensive to the rest of the world. We have to stop looking at the price tag as the only measure of value. The low price is a trap. It is a psychological hack designed to make us feel like we are winning while we are actually losing everything that makes a community worth living in. When you choose Walmart, you are voting for a world where everyone is an associate and no one is an owner. You are voting for a world where the government functions as a human resources department for the ultra-wealthy. You are voting for a world where the environment is just a line item to be ignored until it is too late. This is the ledger of truth. The numbers do not lie, and the numbers show that the social cost of Walmart far outweighs the individual savings they offer. Knowledge is the only thing they cannot roll back. They want you to be a passive consumer who just follows the signs and doesn't ask questions. They want you to believe that their way is the only way and that there is no alternative to the giant blue box. But now you know the mechanics. You know how they manipulate the tax code, how they colonize small towns, and how they grind down the global supply chain. You see the mask for what it is. You see the blood on the yellow spark. They aren't your neighbor. They aren't your friend. They are the landlord of your economy, and they are raising the rent every single day by making the world a little less fair, a little less safe, and a little less human. This is the part where people usually ask, what can we do? And the answer is not simple. There is no easy fix for a monster this big. But the first step is always to stop being gaslit. Stop believing the commercials. Stop accepting the idea that low prices justify the destruction of livelihoods. Start supporting the small shops that still exist, even if it costs a little more. Start demanding that your representatives close the subsidy loopholes that allow billionaires to build their empires on the backs of the poor. Start realizing that your power is not in your wallet, but in your awareness. They can only play this game as long as we keep following their rules. Walmart is a monument to what happens when we prioritize efficiency over humanity. It is a warning of what the future looks like if we continue to let corporate power go unchecked. They have built a kingdom of plastic and poverty, and they have invited us all to live in it. But we do not have to be their subjects. We can choose to see the system for what it is and act accordingly. The branding is thin, the mask is slipping, and the truth is finally coming into focus. Do not let the neon lights blind you to the reality of the shadows they cast. As we close this file, remember that the logo is just a symbol. The real story is in the people, the towns, and the planet that have been sacrificed to keep that spark shining. It is a story of greed, exploitation, and a total lack of accountability. But it is also a story that we have the power to change by refusing to be silent and refusing to be fooled. Stay sharp and stay informed. Remember, knowledge is your only leverage in this game. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe to join our community. This was Behind the Logo, and I'll catch you on the flip side.